In the week since we left Russia, Moscow, where we are now, in February after interviewing Vladimir Putin, we've watched from the United States as the Biden administration has driven the U.S. ever closer to a nuclear conflict with Russia, the country that possesses the world's largest nuclear arsenal.
Well, that is the beginning of Tucker's video. He's letting you know that our country, and he's saying it in the open, right? This is something that I've talked about in the past as well. This is something that many people agree on, that America is actually pushing the Russians into a corner and it might end in nuclear war. Hello and welcome. My name is Daniel. I'm actually an American veteran who's living inside of Russia here in Siberia since April 2022. So I've lived through mobilizations in Russia. I've lived through sanctions in Russia. I've lived through, the Biden administration giving long-range weapons and allowing the Ukrainians to hit Russia inside their territory. I've lived through all of this. Now, I'm going to be looking at Tucker Carlson's video, and I'm going to be giving my opinions on the things that he says. So join me as we break this down. This is an educational video because I actually have been living inside of Russia and I've seen how the Russians are. I've seen how they've reacted to the news of America kind of instigating more and more and more. And I don't care if you don't think that America has been instigating. They definitely have, because they haven't been building bridges. So let's go ahead and look at this video and do a commentary.
It has accelerated ever since, and it's reached its apogee so far in the weeks after Trump's election. He is now the president-elect. In that time, just a few weeks ago, the Biden administration, American military personnel, launched missiles into mainland Russia and killed at least a dozen Russian soldiers. So we are, unbeknownst to most Americans, in a hot war with Russia, an undeclared war, a war you did not vote for and that most Americans don't want, but that is ongoing.
So this is what I said in the last video. One of my most recent videos where I said, hey, by the way, they've been approved and they're using weapons inside of Russia. I said that it's none of America's business to be arming a third, like a second country randomly to have a proxy war against Russia. Now, I am an American. I live inside of Russia. I haven't been harmed. I haven't been mistreated because of what my country is doing. But you never know, right? Arming a neighboring country of a superpower, and it has nuclear power, so it is a superpower. Arming a neighboring country that they're at war with is not very smart. There are many countries in the world where I, as an American, cannot travel because of the way we've treated those countries. And I have been living in Russia for the last 2 years, and I am thankful, at least thankful for now, that Russia hasn't done anything to me because of the way my government has acted. Now, put that aside, he's also talking about, hey, by the way, we are so close to nuclear conflict with these Russians because of what our government is doing. Could you imagine if we gave weapons to any country that's anywhere near the United States and they've actually fired inside of the United States and spilled blood on American soil? That is blasphemy. We would never accept that.
And because of that war, because of the fact that the U.S. military is killing Russians in Russia right now, we are closer to nuclear war than at any time in history. Far closer than we were during the Cuban Missile Crisis. That would mean the elimination of Russia, the United States, and most of the rest of the world. We felt there must be someone behind the scenes in Washington working to make sure that this conflict doesn't become a nuclear holocaust. But we found out that no, in fact, there is nobody. Tony Blinken, the current Secretary of State, cut off all contact between the U.S. and Russian governments. There is no back channel, there is no conversation, and there hasn't been for more than 2 years.
Okay, this is what bothers me the most. This is what kills me. If you are going to be starting possibly the world's biggest conflict since World War II, why would you cut communications with the side that you're starting troubles with? Are you never going to seek for peace? They've said that they haven't had contact with the Russians for 2 years. This is far too long. The Russian people have actually tried, and everybody knows this. I'm not saying this because I'm some sort of Russian sympathizer, and Tucker Carlson is not saying it because he loves Russia. He's never lived here, right? He has nothing to gain from this. He has children. He probably wants a world that's not destroyed for his children. So the reason why he's in Russia is because he's trying to give attention to this subject. Like, there's nobody reporting on this except him on the American side. There's many people inside of Russia, I mean, that are in my genre, in my niche, who have reported about this, who are really trying to get the word out. Like, by the way, guys, this place is not as bad as it seems. The Russian government is just cornered. I mean, there's even government officials from NATO who said, yeah, we screwed the Russians over, but they keep treating the Russians like if they were the Soviet Union. This has to stop. And whatever, again, I don't care about Russia in the sense, like, I have no I'm not a Russian citizen. I'm not a Russian resident as of now. I'm still here as a tourist. So I'm only saying this because I too want to have kids, and I too want a world where it's not completely destroyed. So let's continue listening to Tucker, because I believe that with him coming to Russia again, and if he continues to come, he may be the guy that brings peace and settles this once and for all.
That's shocking. Meanwhile, most Americans have no access to any perspective other than that granted to them by NBC News and the New York Times. They don't know how close we are. They don't know the Russian perspective. We've been trying for over a year to get that perspective out to American news consumers. We've also tried for over a year to get an interview with Zelensky, the president of Ukraine. We've attacked that from a bunch of different angles. We've spoken to a lot of different people around him, had dinner with them. We've been in talks continuously, and those efforts have been thwarted by the U.S. government. The American embassy in Kiev, which our tax dollars pay for, told the Zelensky government, no, you may not do the interview. You can talk to CNN, you can't talk to us. So we've been unable to speak to him. So we came back to Moscow yesterday to interview the foreign minister of Russia, Serget Lavrov, the longest-serving foreign minister in the world. He's been a part of this government for 25 years. He's been in the diplomatic corps for over 40. And ask him, where exactly are we?
Okay, I'll stop it there. So, look, it makes no sense that our government, it's trying its best to silence the other side, right? Why would they silence, even telling the embassy in Kyiv, hey, don't talk to this guy, do not talk to these people, do not talk to those people. So they're writing their own narrative, right? Ukraine is one side of the problem, Russia is one side of the problem, and randomly, the United States is that other side of the problem. Again, we love to get involved in world, we love to get involved in everybody's business, but I just feel like America super miscalculated this time. And obviously, the American government has no clue how the Russian people are. I've told you, I've lived here for 2 years, and although these are not the Soviets, right? This is not the Soviet Union. This doesn't mean that the Russian people are just going to roll over and die and bend the knee for the United States. I don't know where the United States thinks that they have the right to try to do this, but it's not going to happen. Russia has its own types of politics. It has its own business in the world. It has its sphere of influence. It has its existence to worry about. And I have no clue where the United States thought it was the right idea to instigate this, to push this, to close communication with the Russians, to make this problem grow even bigger. And so we have Tucker Carlson gonna go speak to Lavrov, right? This guy, if you look at the videos where he's talking, he's actually a brilliant guy. He's a person who's down to earth, speaks very directly like a real man, not like a politician from the United States. And again, I am not trash talking the United States because I don't like it. I love my country. It's given my family everything that it's had. But by the way, when your country does something dumb, something so stupid, you have to talk about it. This is why Tucker Carlson is over there. He's doing what politicians in America aren't daring to do, because they are just they're literally the dumbest politicians in the entire world. Why? Because they have all the power and they've been blinded by money. I have no idea why they are so dumb, but look where they got us now. So let's finish off his video to see what else he has to say.
Are we headed toward an unprecedented conflict between Russia and the United States? Is there any way to peel Russia back from the east, from the sphere of China, back into the west? Is that alliance permanent? And does the election of Donald Trump mean an end to this war, which is reshaping the world, the U.S. economy, the global economy, and risking the life of every person on this planet? Is that possible? We just walked out of that interview. It's absolutely fascinating. It's coming very soon. We hope you'll watch.
So I cannot wait for the interview to come out, because there you're going to see the real deal. The Russian diplomats, the Russian politicians, they don't lie. Like, they'll tell you straight up what they're going to do, and they just do it. It might not be the right thing for the West or for democracy, but not every country has a democracy like the United States. Not every country is involved with the same spheres of influence around the world. Now, he asked, is the alliance between China and Russia permanent? I think he obviously wants to get that answer out of him, because guess what? Russia, although some Russians may not agree, Russia is a European country too. Russia is part of the West, whether they like it or not. Russia is a Western country. Russia has the largest European city. Russia has the largest population in Europe. Russia is part of the West. It has more in common with the West than with China. So why did we push the Russians far away from us? Why did we push the Russians into almost nuclear war like he's talking about here? Like, we need to know, that interview needs to be going viral, because if we are close to the end of the world because we continue with the dumb politics and arming a country that's not even a democratic country like Ukraine. I have nothing against Ukraine, but why would we end the world for them? Why wasn't the world rallying around Afghanistan or Iraq or Syria? Or why isn't the world rallying around any other country that's had a conflict? This makes absolutely no sense, and we all know that it shouldn't end for that. So I can't wait to see that interview between Lavrov and Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson is doing the work of many men in the United States who don't have the intelligence to get on a plane and go speak with the Russians. I hope you guys enjoyed watching that video. If you haven't watched it already, go watch it without me commenting over it. And if you've already watched it, tell me what you think. I want to know what your opinion is. This is obviously the best thing that Tucker Carlson can do, is go to Russia, or come to Russia because I'm here, and build bridges. We need really, we need more than ever people like him building bridges between our two countries.